like, thank you.
You're welcome. That's all you gotta do, boo. I got you.
How long have you been studying?
4 months, 4 or 3 months
Okay, and when are you testing?
next month.
Okay, because like I just had a baby a month ago, and like I had pregnancy brain, so I could not retain anything. I've
I
been studying.
know. Yeah.
I've been, I've been studying since like December, and I
Me
could not
too.
retain anything.
That's
And
okay. We
so
here. We gonna
the
retain.
the minute I had her and got on your class, now I'm able to retain everything that you said, and
Cause
I
it's the
couldn't retain
Lord,
anything.
girl.
Isn't it so good?
Holy
I'm just
Spirit, that's all I say. I give all thanks to the Lord. That's why before, and I haven't had a chance right now, but before I hop on these things, I say a prayer for everybody to try to retain. And Lord, you've given us the strength to understand this information because you have a higher plan for everybody that's in here. So
Amen.
if we understand it, if I understand it, I'm gonna help you understand it. And if we get it, this is just a test. A test do not define us. That we
Amen.
gonna learn and not just learn it for memory, but to understand it. Because if we have to change it in a way that glorify Him, let's do whatever we got to do.
Amen.
Amen.
Mhm.
Brittany, have you passed your test?
I'm testing very soon.
Well, we're all testing very soon in the month of April, girl.
April is gonna be a good month.
Amen. Say that, girl.
That's
Say
gonna be
it.
a good month. That's why if anybody is caught up on something, has everybody at least taken one stimulated exam to just see where you at?
Yeah, we have.
Okay. I
We've been
highly
taking it.
recommend find if you on Pocket Prep, if you with Josh or anybody, take a test. Act like you're act like you're at a real like get your testing environment when a baby is taking a nap and it's kind of quiet. Go ahead and run through a test. Take it. Get your scores. Wherever you're scoring the least, the lowest, organize it from the least, the weakest to the strongest. That's where you're
Okay.
gonna spend most of your time, so you don't spend all of your time trying to figure out what, when, where, and how.
Okay.
Like it was so much trial and error until I got a rhythm and a beat for how it's gonna go. I was so overwhelmed. I was buying everything like I was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yes.
on everybody. I did NC study prep. That was just too much information in the way that, and then I had to understand how do I learn? I learn
Right.
because I need to put it in real life situations.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm explaining the way that I'm explaining is because I constantly go over and think in my head and put it to something. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's how that works. Or I watch it and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. And then I apply it. And then I
Right.
just keep moving and moving it. And then when I'm talking to other people and I'm bringing it back up, I'm recalling it and I get it.
Yeah.
All of us can do the same exact thing. Then you're going to go over everything. And then once you get a foundation of basically everything, I'm not talking about know everything from top to bottom, but once you get
Right.
a good foundation on it, you can constantly listen. Constantly
Yeah.
listen. Then your listening is different from trying to learn it. You
Right.
already kind of got the foundation of it. Now you just constantly listening to it. Then test yourself again and see how well you're doing now.
Yeah.
If you haven't grown, then we need to find a different way or a different material or a different, thing to do it.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe just getting a straight foundation, test your knowledge, see where you are, organize it from your weakest to your strongest,
Uh-huh.
and then go over whatever's the weakest, do a deep dive and study exactly everything that it is. After that, just keep listening to something. I have
Right.
visuals. Sometimes I look at my visuals and I see that. But once you get the foundation and you keep listening, you start hearing other things. And you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. And then that's how you just keep pulling it back up. And then these study groups help a lot too.
Yeah.
So we all gonna pass.
In
We're
the
gonna
name
make
of
sure we
Jesus, girl.
pass.
Amen.
Um,
Amen.
As far as the test and this wording, from everybody I've talked to, everybody, whatever, because I'm studying just like everybody else. But the questions are straightforward.
Okay.
Some of them is application, but we can do application because once you understand the wording, the people, what they do, things like that, you know how to wing out everything. And then it'll be your testing techniques. What two questions is absolutely not. That's what I tell my kids. What answer is absolutely not true? Take that away. And then work with what you got. But
Yeah.
it'll work out.
Now that's what I've been doing, girl. I've been doing when I take the test, I do that a process of elimination. And
And talk to yourself.
I do. I talk to myself. I talk to myself about the theories. I say this theory does this. I can eliminate it.
I can
Because
tell you something.
I'm trying. But this group has helped me see so many things better.
Yeah. Now I
just
got a new idea. I think I'm gonna do once everybody kind of get the foundation in the field. I gave it to the people in the last study group, but it's this study guide. I think everybody needs to read it every day, and then we can come together on Fridays and then
and
talk
talk
about
about.
it.
Are you gonna give it to us today?
Yeah, I can give it. Most people I gave it to, but yeah, let me put
Can you
my
put it in our
email
chat and give it to
now.
us now? Yeah,
I'm
because
gonna
I would
put
love.
my email in here now because it's on
Okay.
a file that won't let me put
Let
it
me.
in here. I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah, I will send you my
But if
email.
everybody can find time to read it every day, and then on Friday we come in, and it's like 24 pages, but I'm talking about straight facts of everything.
Yeah.
And then come in, and if we can recall it, we'll recall it. And if somebody's stuck, then let's do a deep dive in it. If
Okay.
that
I'm
That
makes
sorry.
sounds.
sense.
Are we talking about the code of ethics? I just
No,
got
I
one.
got it's a whole study guide. Let me see let me pull it up so y'all can see it. Tiff, I can't even remember what I had it under. Hold on.
It is very helpful.
Let me just show y'all real quick. And then, because that's what I've been doing lately. I just pull it up. Where is it? I sent it to you, Ron. Tiff. Let me see. Hold on. I got it on downloads. Hold on, y'all. I'm coming. I'm trying to find it. Documents, maybe?
You're fine, girl. Take your time because you are helping us. And
Let me
every
see. I
little
know
bit
I sent
helps.
it to you, Tiff. I'm gonna use yours. I try to be mindful of everybody's time. Here we go. Right here. So what typically will happen? I always got a plan. I'm a girl with the plan. If everybody take time, you see it's 23 pages. You can read 23 pages every day.
Right.
Straight facts. You see this?
Wait, I'm trying to see your stuff. Okay. Yeah, I see it.
This is human growth and development, straight facts.
Yeah.
You just recalling at this part. But if it gets to a point where it's something you don't know, I would advise everybody highlight it. So when we come back in group,
We'll
let's do
have
a
it.
deep dive in it and talk about
Okay.
it. Because everybody can grasp different information when they're studying. Like I might understand, like for an example, Tiff, the one of the ladies that was in our last group, you remember we brought up randomly about process and product leaders. She said it was on the test, and when she saw it, she started smiling, and she was like, "I got this one."
So where's product leader at?
It's in group.
Okay, so we're about to go through group, right?
We're about to go through family therapy.
Okay, family therapy.
But do you see
But
what
it
I'm
was
saying? If
somewhere else
everybody
though,
can
Britt,
just
remember?
read this every day, and by Friday, we go back to who don't understand what, and let's do a deep dive, and we just talk about it. So
Okay.
I'll
So
send
just
this,
drop
and this
our,
is over everything. Do you see this?
yeah. So just drop our
Yeah.
email address to you.
Yep. Just
Yeah.
email me, and I'm sending it. And then, matter of fact, we're starting tomorrow. Just read what you can, and then when we get back together,
And yeah.
okay?
Oh yeah.
Very, very and like good. Look at this. The NCE is a forced choice. These are random questions that's gonna hop up at you, and you're like, "Oh, I know that." These are the ones that's gonna give us get those free points that'll get you over.
Okay, so I need this because I test him in about 2 weeks.
Yep, we got it.
Look, I got to stumbling over my words.
Okay, so I'm gonna send this and we're gonna start tomorrow. Everybody start reading it tomorrow, and Friday come we still can look over it or whatever you read, and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, read it every chance you can, any minute. Like you can even pick a chapter a day if you want to, but I would just keep reading over it and keep going over it.
Well,
Just
I
have
sent my
everything.
email, Brittany. I sent it
Okay.
to you.
Okay, and then I'll put it in there. But do you see it's very informative, guys?
This is wonderful.
Okay. So that's one plan. Now let's pull up some. So today is gonna be like, yes, make a weekly calendar. Yes, yes, yes. When I first started, I would I would print out like a free calendar, and every week I did a chapter, and that's how I got the foundation. And once I got it, I just kept listening to it, looking at it, listening to it, hearing other stuff. I'm like, then I started getting into it. Like, I started liking it. So once I started liking it, I started understanding it in a different way because that's been the only thing I've been talking about, listening to for 4 months. So
and I bought me a little tape recorder, and I just been talking to myself and reading different theories. And then, like if I'm in the car, I play that tape recorder so I can just hear it, and it's my own voice. I just want to hear myself talk about it. That's what I've been doing.
Yep. Can everybody see my screen?
We can.
Now I found this, and I thought it was so informative, y'all. It's thick. However, it is packed and loaded with the information that we need, okay?
Okay.
So it's family therapy techniques. The only reason I pulled this out is because everybody who I'm talking to, the test is big on family groups. Not so much the theorists, but I'm pretty sure it was big on theorists, but they wasn't seeing the question how they think they were supposed to see it. What am I doing? Sorry, y'all. Hold on. Something happened. Okay. Let me know if y'all see it. We good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, family therapy. How many people understand family therapy? Or it's kind of like, or, I'm a little bit there, but sometimes I get confused with Mnuchin versus Bowen and all of these things. I can't recall Jay Haley from Virginia Satir.
Yep, happens to me.
Got it. So my goal is to make you actually start to like it and then understand it in a different field. So first, I always think about family therapy as family therapy. The name family therapy, the systems is the umbrella, okay? Because that's the first part of it. Underneath family therapy, that's when you have those structural, strategic, all of those things, okay? So the whole thing about family therapy is a type of psychotherapy, okay? So when we talk about psychotherapy, that automatically opens you up to understand that we're going to go into the unconscious, right?
Right.
We're going to dig deep. We want to know what's this, what's that, what's all it is, right? So sometimes in family therapy, you'll use a solution-based focus deal. Most of the time, we're going in, all right? The psychotherapy that involves all members of a nuclear family. Who knows what a nuclear family is?
Isn't that your family of origin?
That
like mom, dad, children?
So the nuclear family would be your family you make. Your family of origin would be your mom, your dad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So nuclear would be me, my husband, and my two boys. My family of origin would be my mama, my stepdaddy, because that's who in my house, and my little brother and my sister. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so the nuclear family are step family, and in some cases, members of the extended family and grandparents. A therapist are a team because sometimes there's a team. Now, everybody know when I do the group, I start asking other questions. If you are using a team of people, should your clients know?
Yes. Yes, they should.
They should know. And
Right.
where would it be for the
In your contract.
information?
In your contract.
And what is that called?
Informed consent.
Hallelujah. All right. So if we're working with a team, which sometimes there is a team that will work with the family, sometimes there's this method where it'll be a window, a one-way window, and the team is watching the therapy session, and they can come back to the family and tell what they observed and everything like that, okay?
Right.
So that conducts multiple sessions to help families deal with important issues that may interfere with the functioning of the family and the home environment. So a note on the families. Families can differ in structure, makeup, and numbers, right? Families
Right.
have their own rules. Now, rules, when we speak about rules, are there rules like somebody writ them, like they wrote out, or what?
No, it's like it's how your family operates in the home.
So if
So
we
it's
got an
not
alcoholic father, there's this unspoken rule that when he start drinking, everybody leave him alone.
right.
That's what they mean by rules. Okay. So when they're talking about rules, these are unwritten rules that the family did not
Oper
talk about. We just know how to handle it, right?
right.
When if I got an abusive daddy and when he start to drink and him and my mama start getting into it, I know how to go get in the closet and not
Right.
listen. All right. Values in language and these manners when treating them, okay? The therapist needs to understand who is in the family, as well as the rules, the unseen made up rules, the values, and the family language, right? How they talk to each other. What's like how do they disrespect? And we'll get to what all of that means, right? So before I get to it should have it in there. Yeah, let's do it. Let me go in order. I'll be jumping. Okay. Cultural factors and multi-generational patterns have strong influences on families. What differs is how much and in what manner the therapist explores and addresses these things. So in family therapy, we trying to get all of this. We trying to understand their rules, understand their manner. Hell, we trying to understand generational curses, multi-generationals, who was a bipolar, who was schizophrenic, who was the alcoholic, who is all of this. And that's the point where all these theories is trying to get to. Because right now, the family is our client, okay? Not one person. The who is our client. Family. So when it asks a question about it's a family situation, who is the client? The whole family is our client. Now,
Right.
for insurance purposes, we might have to pick one person to bill, but other than that, the whole family is our client. So that's why, and because I said that, when you see questions about the father came in and told the therapist that he cheating on the wife, what are you supposed to do? Are you going to tell the wife or what? You're not going to tell the wife and you're not going to keep it from the wife because the whole family is your client. And we can't keep nothing from them. But we don't say anything because that's
No,
breaking confidentiality. But we do encourage them to do whatever they need to do to get it out to the family. Deal?
Right. Right.
Specific goals of family therapy. Facilitating and improving communication. So there's a theorist that talks about communication. Shift and change in flexible roles, rules, and coalition. There's a therapist that talk about how we're gonna structure the family. Model, educate, and myth dispelling. Strengthen the family system. Understand and handle challenging family situations. We're going to increase separation and that individuation
Individuation.
of family members, strengthen the relationship between parents, and solve family problems and improve environment. So examples of when and how to use family treatment. Okay, I promise all of this is important. Once you get this, you good. For families with one member who has a serious physical or mental illness, family therapy can educate families. Eating disorders, the best method for that is family therapy. Okay? I just gave you a point. When a one family member that's in the family have an issue, they are what? What is the name for them in family therapy?
When they have an issue?
When the whole family coming, but it's one of them that actually have the mental issue, serious physical issue. In family therapy, they are considered the identified patient. Okay?
Okay.
Family therapy can educate families about the illness and work out problems associated with care of that family member. They are called the identified patient. All right? For children and adolescents, family therapy most often is used when the child or the adolescent has a personality, anxiety, or mood disorder that impairs their family and social functioning. This is a DSM thing, but I'll save it for the DSM. I rescheduled it. We still doing it. It just wasn't yesterday. Sorry. And when a step family is formed, or begins having difficulties adjusting to new life, new family life. Families with members, from a mixture of racial, cultural, and religious background, or with differing parenting styles and expectations may benefit from family therapy. So what I just read, family therapy, you're going to have to be a cultural competent counselor. You're going to have to understand who is the identified patient. You're going to have to understand what techniques I need to use. What is the rules of this family? What's the communication about this family? So that's where we're coming in. And that is family therapy. Now we're about to get into the types, what's under the umbrella, okay? There's Bowenian, structural, strategic, brief, strategic, brief solution focus, which means it is very short, okay? Narrative, systematic, transgenerational, communication, and psychoeducation. Everybody tell me what you know about Bowen. Let's see what we know.
She had the Mary Bowen had the genogram and did the intergenerational patterns and did like triangulation, and which the goal was trying to like increase that individuation you mentioned.
Yes, perfect. Yes, that is beautiful. Bowen family therapy, structural, right? When we think of structure, we think of a house. So Bowen is trying to rebuild the family in the picture of a house. Okay? When we think Bowen, this is structure. So Bowen's theory focuses on balance of two forces. In a house, you got that main beam that hold that house together, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's off or that foundation off, you're gonna see cracks in your walls and all kind of stuff. His whole idea is to balance two forces. And who are the two forces that's in the house that need to be the main structure?
Mom and dad.
The parents.
Uh-huh.
Hello. So the first is togetherness, and the second is individuality. Okay, too much togetherness create fusion. Fusion together, too much. That means I don't understand what's my role, what's your role, who you are, what I do. Fusion, and then preventing individuality or developing one's own sense of self. Differentiation of self. That is Bowen, 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 okay? And then we'll talk about it. Too much individuality results in distant and in strange family. That's people that don't even talk to each other. They come home, everybody go their separate ways. Dinner's ready, they come get their plate, go in their room. Like it's nothing where we talk, we know nothing. The kid could be in a room building bombs, you'll never know, right? So
Right.
Bowen believed that the optimal family development occurs when the family members are differentiated. Either they're high, like they have a high level of differentiation or a low level of differentiation. And we'll get into what differentiated means. Feel like anxiety regarding the family and maintaining a rewarding and healthy emotional contact with each other. Hold on, I'm looking for something. I had something written out. Can't find it. Okay. Next, Bowen introduced 8 interlocking concepts to explain family therapy. Family development and functioning. Here we are. Here go the 8 concepts. Differentiation of self. All right. Triangulation. Nuclear family emotional process. Family projection process. Multi-generational transmission process, sibling order, emotional cutoff, societal emotional processes. All right, let's get into them. Differentiation of self. What does that mean before we dive in? Anybody know?
It's the ability to maintain
Mm-hmm.
um
I know where you're going. Let it out.
so we're trying to maintain our between the rational thoughts and the emotionals and our
Think of
emotionals.
That's fusion. I know exactly
Okay.
what you're talking about. That'll be someone, yeah, and yes, because there's 2 parts. I'm looking for something. I'm sorry, y'all. There's 2 parts of differentiating. Yes.
Is
It's
it the
the intro physical I don't know, the intro physical logic, and I think in the intro personal.
There you go.
But I'm not saying that intro is INTRAPSYCHICALL.
And that's
Why?
just saying I'm able to differentiate my emotion from my mental, and then I'm
Right.
able to differentiate myself
From the family.
from the family, but still be a part of my family.
Right.
isn't it also like emotional balance? Like you're able, like your
Yep, that's exactly.
emotion.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. No, you saying it. I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off. You are absolutely right. It is emotional balance. I am able to still be a part of my family, love my family, but do what I need to do for myself.
Right.
Hold on, y'all. I lost something. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, where? There it is. All right. I got stuff everywhere. Intra.
Physical. I know it. Physical. Yeah.
So when you think of intra, remember, what's intra?
It's you. It's you.
You. Yes. So it's 2 parts of differentiation. It's about you, your emotions, and your thoughts. trying to
Right.
balance that. And then personality.
It's you and the family. That
That's you and the family.
INTER. Right.
Yes. Okay. So differentiation of self. Families and others in other social groups tremendously affect how people think, feel, and act. By individuals vary, but individuals vary in these susceptibility to be a group think. Group think is important, okay? And groups vary in the amount of pressure they exert from conformity. Differentiation of self will look like my family of origin, right?
Right.
They do this every weekend. They'll go to church, they go to dinner, and they go and do this. They go to church, they go to dinner, and then they do this. I'm grown now, so I'm outside of that family and my nuclear family. My family of origin does that, but I started something different with my nuclear family. Now, we don't go to church with them. We do our own thing, but we probably would meet up to do dinner or something. If I wasn't differentiated, I would do everything my family does just like them. I didn't break away from it. But I'm able to go to my own church. They're able to go to their own church, and we come back together, and it's no problem. If I could not differentiate myself from them, I would still be doing everything they're doing just because. Okay? That's what he mean by differentiation of self. You're able to do your own thing, but still have love and connection with your family. Okay?
Okay.
Everybody get that? Because I don't want to move on.
Yes.
Got it. These differences between individuals and between groups reflect differences in people's level of differentiation of self. The less developed a person's self, to more impact others have on the functioning and the more he tries to control. This is going to confuse us. Just listen to what I said. All right. We can try the cases later. Triangulation. Tell me.
That's when a third person gets involved, and so like a child could get involved in the argument of parents.
So listen, because dyadic is the key word. What does dyadic mean?
A relationship of two?
A relationship of two become a triad. Okay, so triangulation is a process that occurs when a third person is introduced into the dyadic relationship to balance either excessive intimacy, conflict, or distance and provide stability in the system. Bowen saw triangulation as a way to reduce anxiety in a dyadic relationship, just like you said. And most of the time, it will be a child. So, say two parents are getting a divorce and they're always arguing, they're always fighting. The only time they work together is when Johnny don't feel good. That's the only time Johnny see his parents talking without fussing is when they're trying to take care of him. So what do Johnny do? As soon as he see his mom and dad start to fuss and fight, he gets sick. Just to make that two become stable and they're not going to argue and fight no more. That's the whole definition of triangulation. Outside of a kid, most of the time it is a kid, but outside of a kid, it would be somebody somebody talking about their personal problems to somebody at work. Does somebody at work act like they're trying to help or whatever, but even the conflict with the dyad, you then invited somebody else into the conflict, and it can be my best friend that's always trying to help us mend things or anything like that. It's bringing anybody in, but it's typically always a child, and it always makes the child worse. Okay? Because think about the pressure the child have to do to make sure his parents stop fighting. And then what happens? He learned that behavior. So then it just goes down to his kids. and then his kids will see him and his wife fight. And this is what Bowen is saying, right? So that's why he do a lot of genograms, because he believe what's happening right here, right now, all it's going to do is trickle down to the next, because we're learning how to do that from what we know. If we're differentiated, that won't be a problem. Okay?
Okay.
Do y'all want to do the case examples? Somebody else got to read it, though.
I'll
I
read
don't
it.
mind reading if you, or whoever, I don't mind reading if we want to do it. So
Come on, baby, let's do it.
Jeanette and Tim have been married for 7 years when they seek couples counseling. Tim complains to the therapist that each time the couple argues, Jeanette phones her mother, Barbara, to vent. Tim has become uncomfortable around his mother-in-law, feeling as though Barbara has formed a negative opinion of him as a result of these conversations. Tim also feels that the involvement of Barbara makes it more difficult for him and his wife to work on their marriage together. Jeanette insists that she has tried and failed to talk things out with her husband and that she needs her mother's input in order to resolve her feelings. Jeanette has shared her concerns that if she does not speak to her mother, she will become more depressed and it will negatively affect the marriage.
Ooh, she is differentiated. So from Bowen's therapy perspective, this case is an example of triangulation. You saw how she dragged her mama into it?
Yeah.
And mother have nothing to do with it. What interventions would Bowen recommend to help this couple? We'll get into that. Note, it is typical for families to attempt to involve the therapist in the triangulation by trying to get them to agree with one side. It is the therapist's job to ensure that they are not pulled into a triangulation, as this will prevent the family members from being able to address and resolve their conflicts. Okay. Treatment. Moving theory to practice. The main goal for Bowenian therapy is to reduce chronic anxiety by facilitating awareness of how the emotional system functions and increasing levels of differentiation, where the focus is on making changes in the self rather than trying to change others. Stages of treatment. Number 1, stage 1 aims to reduce clients' anxiety about the symptom by encouraging them to learn how the symptom is part of their pattern and related. And then stage 2 is focusing adult clients on self issues. So as it increased their levels of differentiation, clients are helped to resist the pull of what Bowen termed togetherness force in the family. Here's some techniques from Bowen, just so we know. You have the genogram. That would look like, hold on, I want to make sure I'm not over. The genogram would, anybody know what a genogram is?
A genogram is something that you can do it for your family, and it can go back as far as like great grandparents or whatever, but it can show like the patterns. It can show like patterns of addiction, incarceration, divorce. It's just so much. It took me like 4 days to do mine when I was in graduate school.
Yeah.
But
If
it
you
was so
do,
informational. You actually see like your family on a grid and everything that's connected to it. It shows like the enmeshment. It
look,
shows, yeah.
y'all can see this?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
So this is a genogram, y'all. First, you're gonna put mama, daddy, and the child. Then on the mom side, you're gonna put her mom, her dad. On the dad side, you put his mom, his dad. You put all your brothers and sisters. On your dad's side, you'll put his mom, his dad. On your grandma's side, you'll put her mom, her dad. Like it goes deep. And that's what a genogram is. If you
Do you
never
got
seen
one
it.
that show the patterns and stuff?
I have no clue. I just Googled
Oh.
this.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
I mean, I
simple.
think you could say it's a family tree, but it's more glorified
It's
because
a
then, like you
huge
said,
family
you
tree.
see.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well, you
like you
see also the patterns, like affairs or
Yes, and you can
codependency.
see,
You know, like
uh-huh.
if you can get the details from your family, like I remember there were a lot of secrets in my family. So digging stuff out was deep.
There it
And then
is.
like ask, yeah,
Diabetes, who
yeah,
had cancer, who
Yeah.
miscarried, who had an
yeah.
alcohol abuse problem. Like it goes deep. So Bowen was on to something trying to figure out the patterns of what everybody is doing. Process questioning, I statements, he does really good in here. Okay, so you see I statements, Bowen in family therapy, that was his thing. Role play, I mean the role of the therapist, of course, it's a dyadic, so you are going to be the teacher, you're the educator, you're the coach. The therapy goal is to increase differentiation, reduce emotional reactivity, and help de-triangulate the family origin, open closed ties, and then reframe presenting problems as generational. Okay. He also does home visits. It's not on here, but of course I research outside of this. He does home visits. He'll do home letters, calls. He'll go visit the family in their own home. And then emotional cutoff wasn't really talked about in here, but that's big too. So when we talk about emotional cutoff, what does that mean?
We do it's a motion distance between two individuals.
Uh-huh.
So it typically occurs in the marital side, like.
Mm-hmm. So when somebody is experiencing emotional cutoff, that means they just cut you off. That means the people who does not talk to the family no more. I don't talk to them. That's not my family. That's not my sister. So what would happen is what he would do for the people who are emotionally cut off members of the family, he'll go visit them and try to make a goal with them to write a letter to the family. Give them a phone call while I'm here. And then work his way up to let's go visit them. Because the whole thing is to reshape and rebuild this whole family into something where these patterns and these things are eliminated and everybody is well differentiated, where they can live their own lives but still be a family. So that was his whole goal. What else stage that we need to? We talked about the nuclear family projection process. Anybody know what that means?
Parents transmit their dysfunctional behavior onto the kids.
Yes. Nobody went to college. What you need to go for? And look I done made it. Your auntie made it. Nobody went to college. What you need to do all that for? They're projecting their stuff onto the child mainly. That's family projection process. Sibling order, of course, because the older kid have to be the mama. In most families, the older sibling takes on so much responsibility, especially if it's a mom or a dad who alcoholic. They have to do the cleaning up after them. They have to take care of the siblings, wash them, make sure they get to school, eat, and all of that. Think about the trauma that comes with that. And then we talked about the emotional cutoff, and then the societal regression. That factors in someone who's lowly differentiated, like in the case study that we were talking about. All right, moving. Next, let's talk about structural. Who is structural? Anybody know?
Minuchin?
There you go. Ooh, we're gonna pass. Salvador. I hope I say the name right. Salvador Minuchin. Okay. He was the big man about boundaries, which I love. So the The individual's emotional functioning is not entirely an internal process, he said. The individual influences their context and is influenced by it in consistently recurring sequences. So let's get to it. Let me get to this. Hold on. I'm gonna send this to y'all if you want it, but I got something else I need really quick. I like this better. I'm gonna send that to y'all though, okay? You see this? Are
Yeah.
y'all seeing this?
Yeah, we do.
Therapy.
Let me get to this.
Yeah.
This the easier for me. Salvador Minuchin, structural family therapy. Okay. Minuchin emphasizes the importance of family structure and how it influences behavior. The family structure, y'all see it?
No,
Yeah,
we're
I
on the
do.
slides.
No, yes.
Nope.
Are you on your
We're still
slide?
looking at the slide.
No, she's
Yeah.
different.
I'm on something. I'm on this. I have to, this better for me. And I'll give y'all the slide. I'll give you the slide. I will.
Okay.
But let's break it down. The family structure includes roles, boundaries, and hierarchies. He believed in hierarchies. He believed that the mother and the father is supposed to be the head of the house, and it is.
Right.
This new generation, it is not.
Yeah.
I saw something on the news the other day. The girls try to kill their mom because she cut off the Wi-Fi. It's a
Yeah.
problem, okay? So
Yeah.
he believed in boundaries, hierarchies. You hear anything about hierarchies? That's Minuchin, okay? He talked about the subsystems. What is the subsystem? Anybody?
Well,
If
it's
the
like
mama and daddy, the system, who's the subsystems?
the children.
The children, okay? The family members are part of a different subsystems. Then the children, they have their own subsystem. They're siblings, okay? Then we got spouse, we have parent, we have children. It's all subsystems. Boundaries between subsystems need to be clearly defined to maintain healthy relationships. He talked about boundaries. There's two major boundaries. What are they? Well, three, but
The rigid and diffuse. The rigid is the disengaged, and the diffuse is the enmeshed.
Uh-huh. So if it's too rigid, that is, if it's too much separation between family members, then that's when eventually it becomes in train, like they just don't have any relationships. That's when we was talking about the family come home and they just do their own thing. Nobody talk to each other.
Yeah.
Eventually emotional cutoff will happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you got enmeshed. That means the boundaries are blurry. That means this is when the mother wants to be the daughter friend. Okay. That means when they don't even understand boundaries. And then in enmeshed families, that's where a lot of your sisters, kissing cousins and all of that stuff happens. Okay. Because they don't understand the boundaries. They don't have any rules. Everybody just surviving at that point. That's all I can see. I can see a family that, think about it, when there's a family where it's really no structure and everybody just in there fending for themselves, the kids have always survived. The parents were drug addicts. Nobody did nothing. The kids had to grow up on their own. It's enmeshed. Nobody have no rule. We don't know nothing. No boundary, right? That's
Right.
when you see all of that stuff happening. And then
No, I just wanted to be clear because, like, when I think of enmesh, isn't it like you're all into like not separate? I don't know if
No.
like enmeshed mean that like just like that situation we were talking about before in that example, like the mom is
the
in a
sister,
relationship.
basically. And if the daughter got into a relationship, the mom gonna be in a relationship too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm okay.
So
Got it. Okay.
Glory.
Yeah, that's how
Glory
I see
lines.
it. Yeah.
is that in relationship with The same person?
No.
No.
Like, for instance, have y'all ever seen a show called Smothered?
No.
No? Okay.
Yes, that's the perfect example.
Yes, like the mother is there, the daughter is there, and they have a wonderful relationship, but the mother have no life. Her life is the daughter life.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if she having a problem with her boyfriend, she in the house with the girl and her boyfriend. She in a room with them, not romantically, but she don't know boundaries. Like, mom, you gotta go to your own house, you know?
So she's over involved in her relationship.
Too over involved.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's blurry lines enmeshed.
Okay.
Okay. And then there's the clear boundaries that's very healthy. You
Yeah.
know the role and what happens and all of that. So, Mnuchin talked a lot about boundaries. There's rigid and mesh and clear boundaries, okay? Then there's the power and hierarchy. Like I said, parents are in control. They are at the top of the hierarchy. And it can if it's not like that and there's children that's running this and things like that, that's why communication gets interrupted, decision making gets interrupted, over the overall functioning of the house is just not right, you know. um like I just keep bringing that up, like they really try to kill their mom because she ended the Wi-Fi. That tells you right there that they did not have any respect for her, you know, and they're 15, 16, and 14-year-olds. So having that understanding that we're the parents and we're in control and we're in charge, and you can be a kid, you know, you just do what you need to do. I'll help you make decisions, then you'll learn how to make decisions. He was trying to make it a very balanced way of living. And then there's family roles. Members of the family adopt certain roles, such as the hero. Okay. We all know what a scapegoat is, right?
Yes.
What's a
That's what
scapegoat?
we're using that person as that scapegoat. If it's a
As
problem, we're putting it on somebody else.
Yep. In other words, that's the black sheep of the family.
Right.
That would be the one everybody blames something on, and then they feel like I'm not even a part of this family. Okay. There's the lost child or the mascot. These roles serve to balance the family functioning, but can also be limited, okay? I have some stuff written. He did in his therapy process, he was big at joining. Do anybody know what joining is?
So the way I saw it is he joins when he's trying to establish and how to see the functioning of the family. He joins on the family.
Yep. So
And
he's
to kind of
connecting.
see how they
Yeah.
function.
Yes,
Yep.
perfect. He is connecting with the family and he's establishing himself as I am the the therapist, and I'm the leader, and this is how we're going to do it. Because right now the family, especially if we're seeing a family that's enmeshed or don't understand clear boundaries, then they have to understand how this is going to work. So joining to him, because there's different joining in different ways. Like in Virginia Satir, no, Jay Haley, he joined a whole different way. But I have to explain that Jay Haley was crazy. But it was funny, it was cool, but he was crazy. And I'll explain. He did structural diagnosis, and that's evaluating. It's called a structural map he would use, Mnuchin. And then he did interventions to restructure and unbalance the family. Okay, so sometimes he'll do this in role playing, and he'll have the family role play another member in the family. So when that would happen, the other member of the family would see they self in a different way, or see they self how other people see them in the family. So that's called unbalancing. He will unbalance it and then reframe it. He also did this technique called mimesis. And mimesis is just straight up mimicking the emotional state and demeanor of the family to become a part of the system. That was part of joining. So what he would do was mimic someone's, which was funny, I guess, or crazy. He would mimic like an emotion that someone's doing just so they can see it from the outside looking in, and it's called mimesis. Okay. Oh, and then he would also do in the interventions of the restructure, he would align with the person who is the weakest. I don't want to say weakest, but really the weakest that have no say so. So he'll partner up with them, and it's called alter hierarchy roles. And like for instance, if it's the dad, like the dad have no say so, and I don't want to call the daddy weak, but the daddy weak. He would he would do this thing called altered hierarchy roles where he would connect himself and join with him, and then he'll speak with him towards the family. Like for an example, if the dad have to say something and he don't have the strength to say it, he'll be behind him saying things like, tell him how you feel. How does that make you feel? And have him keep elaborating. Okay. And
You said that's called what, Brittany?
that's called alter hierarchy roles. So he altered them. So that was structural. Remember, anything structural, reframing, all of those things that sound like you're structuring someone, that would be Mnuchin. So remember, his words would be differentiation of self, emotional reactivity, genograms, triangulation, emotional cutoffs, hierarchies. I'm lying. That's Bowen.
That's Baldwin. You read
Mnuchin. Boundaries, hierarchy, joining, restructuring, because we're building a house, reframing, because we're building a house, and focusing on the family organization. All right. Virginia Satir. Y'all, I researched Virginia. I watched her in action. If you want to, you should do so. They have videos of her that's actually doing family therapy. And she is amazing. I did not know how great she was. But Virginia Satir, she is actually the creator of that family sculpting that we can talk about, which is really cool. Virginia Satir had 6 steps. I'll get to it. I'll get to the placator and stuff like that. Her word, she the one that talked about status quo. Okay, what is a status quo? So when you hear that word status quo, that literally just means homeostasis. The status quo is how this family is functioning. This is how they moving. So when you hear that word, because it comes up a lot, status quo, that just means homeostasis. What is homeostasis?
Isn't it like, yeah, like the function of the family, whether it's dysfunctional or not?
Yep. That is the family system. That's their norm. That's how they're functioning. It could be positive, it could be negative. Okay. Status quo, homeostasis, same thing. Okay. Then 2, she did the introduction of a foreign element. So what would happen is when you go into the therapy session, of course, the foreign element would be the therapist, right? So that's when the therapist, we're the new thing that will be disrupting this status quo. The person who keeps that negative homeostasis up will want to resist that foreign person, which will be us, because we're interrupting the status quo. Okay. So she would then, the next stage would be chaos. And these are her 6 stages of how she will work out the session. The next thing would be chaos, and that's the stress and tension and disequilibration. Because at that point we're about to start working, so it's going to be stressful. Then force the integration of new possibilities. So the restructuring, creating, and new status quo is going to be introduced at this stage. 5, she would do practice and make sure they understand it. And then 6, the new status quo should be there. So that's her therapy process. I just thought that was pretty cool to just share. She have communication styles, and that's what we all know, right? The placator. The placator is just a people pleaser. Simple. That's how I just placator, people pleaser. Would do anything to avoid conflict. Whatever you say or whatever you do, that's what it is. So it's called placator, people pleaser. The blamer. It's everybody else's fault. They blame everybody for everything that's going on. It is never their fault. They never take accountability for anything, right? And then the super reasonable person. That means it's just whatever, like if someone who detaches emotionally and focuses on logic. So everything has to be a reason why. It's a reason why. Like it's somebody who's just too logic all the time. Like, come on now. At some point, can you just feel? And then it's the irrelevant person. That's a class clown. Okay, they're gonna bring up everything that's irrelevant to the situation. If we're talking about something serious, they're gonna bring, you remember that time you fell and mama couldn't even get up and do this and whatever. Like, that's a form of resistance, but that's someone who always try to make something funny or whatever. And you find that in your groups too. And then congruent person, that's where we all strive to be. That's the best one. And another word for it is leveler. Leveler, Leveler. And that's where you're trying to get. That's the best part of it. And then she did this thing called family sculpting. Family sculpting is an enactment, and the family would get up. And this is where you should watch the video of her. She was pretty amazing. And she would literally have the family move themselves in the way that they see it. So if I'm the daughter, it'll be the daughter turn, right? Everybody have a turn to show how they see the family. So if I'm the daughter and I feel like my other sister and my mom is close, I'll get up and move them close. And then I'll move my dad and my brother. They're always close. I'll put them together. And then I'll place myself where I think I am. And that would be her probably alone, sitting by herself. And then everybody in the family get to see how everybody see themselves. Like, you think me and mom is more close than you and her? Because I think the same thing. Because people don't know, So I just think that was genius for Virginia Satir to come up with that whole situation, right? And she was big on growth and change. So some of her techniques, the family sculpting, the reenactment, that's part of it. Family reconstruction. So she really likes psychodrama, okay? And then she would use herself as the teacher, the mediator, an advocate, and she played all different roles for that. We talked about the family roles, the lost child. I'm going to send this to y'all too. And all that. I don't think Jay Haley is on here, but let me give you some words about Jay Haley. Now, this is why I said Jay Haley was crazy, y'all. He was kind of wild. Jay Haley was strategic family therapy. Okay. It was brief. His technique and whatever, his strategic stuff was very brief, to promote symptom relief. He was big on symptoms. He would call the problem symptoms. Okay, so you see anything symptoms, that's Jay Haley, and that's strategic. The role of the therapist was an expert, educator, observer, and all of those things. Communication is viewed as the source of power, according to Jay Haley. The ability to define the nature of the relationship. So his main concept, he talked about that circular causality, and it looks for the maladaptive behavior in people. So he said the behavior, it just keep continuing through the family. It'll never go away. So that maladaptive behavior is going to go through, and everybody is going to act that way. My son is going to act like that. His son is going to act like that until they get it together. It's a circle. Okay. He believed in that first order change. What happens in a first order change? The first order change is superficial. It is not real. It's fake. Okay. That it does not last. First order change, put fake, is superficial. That's where the person, you want them to do better with giving compliments to their sister. And that first order change will be, I guess you're not that ugly. Well, you're trying, but I need you to get to second order change, which is really changing and said, hey, I can understand why you was upset the other day, and I'm sorry. Oh, you look beautiful today. That's second order change. Okay. First order change is fake. Second order change, you really doing it. All right. The family hierarchy, he did a family hierarchy too, but not as much as the other one. But the parents should have the power. Okay? The parents should have the power.
No, no, I just like I have to hear you and I don't want to hear that.
I got it. Okay, so the view of the problem, he would use the term symptom, okay? And that's a strategy adapted to control a relationship when all other strategies have failed.
Can you repeat that word, Brittany? Would you say he would use the word?
Symptoms. Symptoms was his thing. So it wasn't as if it was a problem. It was a symptom of what's happening with the family. Here's where it get crazy. His techniques was out of this world. Okay. He had four parts to a session. He did sessions, but it was 4 parts to it. So in the first part, the first session, it was a social stage. He would just observe the family, have the family come in, they'll be their authentic self and just, do whatever. Then it was a problem stage where he asks, what brings you here? Of course, like therapy. What brings you to therapy? Then there'll be an interaction stage. The first 2 stages will be mixed together. It'll be observation, the stages of them there, and then what brings you here, they talk amongst each other. The goal setting, he would work with the family and sign contracts with the family. He would give them homework. He'll give them directives. Now, paradoxical intervention, what is that? Paradoxical intervention. That
when
came
you tell
from
them to
Jay.
continue the negative undesired behavior and you tell them to exaggerate and keep doing it.
That's why he crazy. He came up with that. Jay Haley came up with that. I saw somewhere in the therapy they were fighting. The family was fighting. And Jay Haley said, let me throw a rope in there and let's do tug of war and see who wins. What? Tell me that would throw a family off. Y'all want to fight? Let's fight a different way, Yes, he would do that exaggerated because what it would do was make them realize y'all really doing something stupid. So if you're gonna argue when you get home, so he'll have a observation session and they start talking about they always arguing. When do y'all argue? Every time I come home from work. What time is that? 3. Okay. Tomorrow at 3, I want y'all to argue as much as you can for the rest of the month. Every time at 3 o'clock, I need y'all to pick a fight. What would happen is at 3 o'clock, they wouldn't argue because it's like, well, we're supposed to argue at this time.
Isn't
And then
that
it
like
goes away.
that's kind of like prescribing the symptom?
He prescribed that. I was getting to
Hmm.
it. Yes, he would prescribe a symptom. If the symptom is arguing, he would prescribe them to argue every day at the same time. Okay. Um, where else I want to go? It was directive. So the task of the therapist was to assign to be completed by the client outside of therapy. So he would give them paradoxical prescriptions. Because remember, he said these are symptoms. So he kind of was like a doctor, but he was crazy. He was crazy. Ordeal, that's a word that he would use, and that's an unpleasant task the client must do when a symptom occurs. So he would identify the symptom. For example, that symptom of them arguing, I mean, the two people that argue, that's the symptom. They keep arguing. So just like a doctor, if that's a symptom, let me prescribe you your medicine. Here's your prescription. At 3 o'clock every day, I need you to argue. So once they made aware that I'm arguing, like it don't make sense, they stop doing it. For an example, somebody who has a huge phobia about speaking in front of people and say that they shake every time they get up and speak. Okay, what's the symptom?
Shaking.
So what's going to be the prescription?
To purposely shake as much as possible.
There you go. Paradoxical intervention. There you go. Here. Then there's narrative therapy. It's not in here. What is narrative therapy? Who was it?
It's
Michael
like
White
Michael White.
stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Michael White.
and David Epstein. Jot this down. Narrative therapy and solution-based focus are the only two postmodern therapy. They all postmodern. You know how we got the developmental therapist, psychoanalytic, uh, existential, Gestalt. This is postmodern narrative therapy. Okay.
Okay.
What is narrative therapy? I'm pretty sure y'all know.
It's a social constructive perspective.
And what's happening?
This is where they telling their story.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to overcome problems that they're having, but it's their story to tell, their lives to embrace, and they putting that story in a new way.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And what's our job as a counselor?
We are to listen. We're going to set our goals to enable them to write their story the way they want it, the way they see it.
We're going to help them deconstruct it, right?
Right.
Who's the author?
They are.
They're their own author.
Yes, because
Absolutely
it's their
right.
story.
It is their story. So it's just exactly what she said. It's the social constructionalism or whatever. People develop knowledge of the world in a in a social context, not individually. Okay? Again, people explore the world by social. Think about it. It's this not socially appropriate. I would never wear my hair like that. I can't wear my hair all over my head. People look at me like I'm crazy. I can't wear, or I want to look like this. I want to have this kind of car. I need to do this. Oh, I'm not where I need to be. I'm not that doctor yet. I'm not, socially. And I created that story. I'm not where I'm supposed to be, so I'm a failure. And there's people who literally live like that. Okay, so where did you want to be? What's your story? Tell me your story. So they tell you their story. Okay, let's analyze your story. What happens is this the process and the technique of how it's going to go. They're going to describe the problem. Tell me your story. What's the problem in the story? We're going to internalize it. What brings you here? What about the story you don't like? We're going to map the effects of the problem with them. Evaluate the effects of the problem. They're going to do it, but we behind them. Identify unique outcomes. They're going to construct that story, and then they're going to rewrite it. Okay? Another technique in here, the therapists write them therapeutic letters. We write them therapeutic letters. We help the client create a more satisfying self or family narrative that isn't problem saturated. That's the goal. The theory is our experience, their experiences are ambiguous. They construct narratives to make sense of them, and people are not the problem. The problem is the problem. So a narrative therapist would address that problem as the problem. Like, you are not a person with depression. Depression is ruining your life. Depression is inflicting itself on you, not you with depression. Depression is by itself. But this is what depression is doing to you. That's how a narrative therapist talk to them. So sometimes they do narrative therapy and family therapy. But that's the only one that's postmodern, okay?
All right.
I think we hit them all, y'all. Any questions? I hope we learned.
Yes, we did.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I'm going to send you all of this. And what I said we're going to do, we have to do it, y'all.
Jay.
Starting tomorrow.
Jay.
Yep. Okay.
I just got to go over Jay Haley. I got to get some things with him.
The biggest thing with Jay Haley is that paradoxical, I'm telling you.
Okay.
That paradoxical intervention, how to use it, what you prescribing, what does it mean? That's the biggest thing with him. The other biggest thing is just think about it. The structural, you got Mnuchin. That's somebody we're looking at. Virginia Satir, I believe, will be on that test because she was such a big person. Like, she did a lot for family therapy. I would really go look at a video just to see how she did it. It's so good. So good.
Okay.
Yes. And triangulation. I know that's a big thing. Differentiation of self, that's a huge thing too. So I would look at Bowen, a lot of Bowen. But like I said, if you look at this study guide I'm sending you, all of it right there is facts, y'all. Like, straight up facts. Like, if we read it every day, it'll be second nature.
You're going to send it to us in our email, right?
No, you're going to email me, and I see the email, and I just send it. Send it.
Okay. I sent my email to you.
Does that? No, send me an email. Can you send me an email? It'll be easier.
Yeah, I sent you an email.
Oh, okay. Yes.
You got one from me.
Okay. Yay.
Yeah.
Do everybody get what I'm saying? Send me.
Did we get your email, Brittany? I think I got it before, but can you just
Yes,
repeat?
thank you.
Yeah, I'll put it here.
Okay.
And then the goal is, if we read that every day, every Friday, let's go over it.
Yes, sounds good.
And
so what time will we meet? What time will we meet on
7:30.
Friday? 7:30? Okay.
7:30 is my sweet spot, and everybody is able to show up a little bit.
Okay, sounds good.
Mama's Boys is a good show. I'm scared I'm gonna be one. I'm scared my boys. I'm gonna fight all their girls. I'm just kidding. I pray for a
No,
good
you're not
daughter-in-law.
kidding. Look, I'm the same way. So I always pray for a good daughter-in-law because of how close you are to your boys.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so true.
That can be easy.
I put that in when you were talking about like the enmeshment boundaries and stuff. Like, there's this family that's really famous on TikTok. Like,